Now we're going to have our featured artist come in and say hello. Tart Vandelay from Rochester, New York, where I live and work. And I actually know this couple. I've been out to dinner with them a few times in the recent past. And the guy on the left there, Marty, we used to work together a little bit. So how are you guys doing tonight? Thank you for hanging out with us.
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we normally do is I sort of have you give us your elevator pitch on, if somebody's asking you about your music and you don't know them, give us a quick rundown of who you are, what you're doing, a little bit about your music, and then the song Spin. We're going to watch a snippet of the video, and then we're going to come back and get deeper with Dave.
Awesome. I guess if I had to sum it up quickly, I would say that there's a lot of vocal looping, jazzy guitar. We definitely try to deal with issues of life in our lyrics, and we like to try and keep just like an optimistic element too, and try and act like even though that there's a lot of struggle, that things can be okay in the end. So that's a message I think comes through a lot in the music.
Awesome. Cool. So Marty and Kate are hanging out with us. We're going to come back and get deeper with Dave after we watch their very colorful and spinny video called Spin. And then in a second.
Try and keep
Ba-da-da, 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 ba-da-da. I'm stuck in inertia, and I should know that doing something you don't want to will only hurt you. I need to make a decision, but time is thinning, and now I'm spinning. But life will yo-yo the way it's supposed to, so letting go of all my fears, need to let the planets and spheres spin, spin, go with the flow, let my orbit carry me where I
Deeper with Dave, deeper with Dave. Oh, yeah.
Sponsored by.
All right. Not that many people know this, but when Seinfeld went off the air, Jason Alexander, who played George Costanza, actually started Vandelay Industries. He registered the business, and a subsidiary of that business is Tart Vandelay. And they focus on sonic importer-exporter. Is that correct, guys?
That's right.
That's correct. Okay, we got Marty and Kate here. So obviously the Seinfeld reference, and you embrace that. You offer that to people. It's hilarious.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so this is all right. There's a lot I want to talk about. I'll try and kind of compress it here. Is really interesting sound. So I was reading some of the reviews that people are writing about you guys. Some people were mentioning like Adele and Lauryn Hill, and but when they mentioned those names, they were, if you really break it down, they're talking about like the bridges in those songs. They're like really small parts of their music, but those small parts is your whole song. You know, it's like you basically like that is your sound, or those little like vignettes inside it. That's I don't know. I guess talk about like how you kind of came to create this sound. I know it was like originally the two of you, and then you brought some people in. Yeah, say a few words.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, when we started, obviously just the two of us, we wanted to fill the sound out as much as we could. And so, you know, Katie was really interested in the vocal looping, and, you know, I mean, you had to experiment a lot with that before you really hit the sound you wanted, I think.
Yeah, I definitely practiced for a while with the vocal looping. And I figured out how to do like some vocal percussion just to fill the sound out, and then some harmonies behind myself just to create like a chorus sound. And it kind of grew from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm interested in with, like, I was listening to your stuff, and it makes sense to me that you guys, like, the two of you kind of created the sound. You're getting to the looping vocals, everything is almost like, you know, the percussive elements of it. But now as you're branching out and you've added a drummer and a bassist again and a guitarist, how is that affecting your process of writing from this point forward?
Well, so as we added them, I think we always had the idea in mind of having bass and drums. So we always kind of had some general idea of how we wanted it to sound once we expanded it. But actually at this moment, we're kind of experimenting with beginning to write as a group, as opposed to kind of bringing our own finished songs to the rhythm section and having them.
Yeah, you were saying you want the feedback from your other bandmates. You want them to write their own parts. Like, you embrace the creativity of that process, because that doesn't always exist. Sometimes band leaders, it's like, this is the way it is, just play your part. But either way is like right or wrong. So, you know.
Yeah. You have to decide what's right for you. I think for us, there's something about, you know, losing a little bit of ego just in terms of like letting somebody else kind of put their stamp on it, and knowing that, you know, oftentimes the best creations are sort of greater than the sum of their parts. And so if everybody's kind of putting something in that's maybe the best of them, then the finished product stands a good chance of really transcending, you know, perhaps what just one person's ideas would contribute. True.
It's almost like running a business. For some reason, I was kind of going there in my head because, I don't know, it comes into play like band leaders. Sometimes they feel like they have to be micromanagers, and that doesn't always work. Yet you have to maintain some aspect of like motivation in the process, because if you just basically completely let go, then maybe nothing happens.
Yeah.
Maybe just like no one does anything for months. It's like, well, hey guys, come on. Like, what, you know, let's do something here. You got to like keep the motivation and keep them moving. But yeah, it's like, so like the word tart in Vandelay, is that the red hair, I'm guessing, Katie, or is it,
Good question. I haven't heard that one before yet. Okay, so it definitely came out of Tart Vandelay. We were just thinking, you know, maybe with like copyright, it would probably be a good idea to change it up a little bit, you know. So we kind of just went down the alphabet and we had some laughs about it. And then we landed on the letter T. And there was just like a really nice ring to it. It just sounded like an indie band name. And we tried not to think too much about it, because that's when you start changing band names a million times. So we just really liked the ring of it, and we went with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with band names, I've been through the process, Joe, too, I'm sure. Like sitting late night having some drinks with, you know, at the genesis of the band. It's like you're throwing band names around, and you pick one, and then it's like, but it's nothing to really ever stress too much about, because there's so many world famous bands right now that have horrible names. If you like can deconstruct it, go back to the point when nobody's ever heard of them, and then just say the phrase for what it's worth, and it's dumb as hell.
Yes.
But just because they've sold 50 million albums, all of a sudden, oh yeah, cool. Like Smashing Pumpkins always comes to mind.
Yeah.
If you can kind of like detrain your brain and just like Smashing Pumpkins.
It's destroying
minute.
somebody.
Yeah, it's like smashing. What does that even mean? That means nothing. It's stupid.
Yeah.
You know.
It's
But then they,
Band.
have their like career, and it's like, yeah, Smashing Pumpkins, man. Yeah, pumpkins are awesome, dude.
Yeah, dude.
So, but anyway, so what's the next year looking like for you guys? I mean, I mean, you got these releases, like these 4-song releases. I know we kind of talked about your process and everything, but now that you have kind of like a tight group and a tight band together, what's the plan for the year? More live shows, more recording? What is it?
Both, actually. We'll probably put out another 4-song little ditty by the fall. And we'll be doing some shows. We've got a few things lined up throughout the spring in Rochester. We're hoping to make it down to New York for a show. We're going to be going down there to do a live direct to vinyl session. And we're excited about that. And so we're kind of looking to tack some shows onto that as well and make a trip out of it.
All right. Last question. I got to ask you, we were touching on before the show. You guys are a romantic couple, and you're also like songwriting partners and everything. We've had like a handful of, groups like you guys on the show. How do you make it work, man? Like what, give some advice for maybe some people that are dating or married that have like this musical connection. Like, would you recommend you separate it in some way? Like, how does it work for you guys?
We do sort of separate. Okay, so the first time that we tried it, we tried to sort of do everything together, and we realized we weren't really getting that much done. It wasn't moving as quickly and fluidly as we wanted it to. So
It was a little rough.
So we ended up kind of splitting things up, both songwriting-wise as well as business-wise. So at least with songwriting, Marty usually starts with like a guitar part, kind of the skeleton of the song. And once he feels comfortable with it, he'll bring it to me, and I'll, work some lyrics out, see if it's the same sort of image that he has in mind. I always create lyrics around like a picture that the music creates. So we'll kind of do that. We'll go back and forth and sort of connect the dots that way. And then business-wise, we make a good team. I think Marty is really good at music business itself. We went to school for it. So he studied music business and I studied songwriting. So in a way, we're able to sort of fill in each other's gaps with our separate training in that regard.
I'm guessing this was the result of a few discussions. It's like you kind of got to set ground rules, and there's nothing wrong with that. It sounds like you guys have kind of figured that out. So where can people find you online? Like, I want to make sure you like shout it out. We got the lower third going on.
Sure.
Like Rob likes to tell me, but yeah, Twitter, Facebook. I mean, what?
Yeah, all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, tartvandelay.com. We have music on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp, SoundCloud. So pretty much anywhere that anybody prefers to look, they should be able to find something. YouTube for the videos as well. So.
All right, cool. All right, guys, thanks so much for coming on the show.